Hi everybody, welcome back to Side Talks, and on this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to form educated opinions based on the internet. So first of all, let's talk about studies. A lot of the time, people will see a study and immediately go and copy and paste it, but it takes a little more analysis than that to know its validity and whether or not it's a good study to use. When you look at a study, you should be looking at the sample size, who sponsored it, what the procedure was, and the results, of course, as well. Let's say that a statistic claims that a certain percentage of all crime is committed by a certain group of people. You don't want to just take that at face value, because certain areas, say, might have a certain concentration of that group of people that's higher than other places. Or maybe it wasn't a fair study. Maybe they took a higher concentration of a certain group of people than others deliberately. Maybe the scientists have a bias against this group of people, or the people conducting the study. If you're genuinely interested in knowing if a study being passed around is valid, you need to look for yourself into all of that information before you make a conclusion. Because even if they're claiming, say, 33% of Americans, blah, 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 they didn't take the actual 33% of Americans, which should be pretty obvious, but that's why you need to look at the specific group of people that they're taking from. And again, certain sponsors can influence the study, or whoever the study's paid for by. For example, if there's a skincare company trying to prove that their product improves your skin to a certain degree, they could pay for a study, and if they're behind it, of course it's going to be more biased towards them, in their favor. And even if you don't do this extensive of a dive into this kind of stuff, just don't take statistics as face value and equate them to fact immediately. Because there really are so many factors that play into these things, and it's not always that simple. It rarely is that simple. Another thing to look for when you're looking for reputable sources is simply the end of the website. I believe this is also called the website extension, but I could be wrong. This means .org, .com, .gov, etc. Knowing these can help you a little bit when it comes to doing research. If you're looking for a specific organization or government entity, it might help to filter by the end of the website to know it's legit. And if you don't trust the government, well, I don't blame you that much. But don't trust a random blogger either, because it's most likely not the best source to get your information from. If you're going to trust something like that, at least know, the background of that person for them to be saying the stuff that they're saying. I also want to talk personal experience. Your personal experiences aren't always going to match up with the statistics or studies, and you might just doubt them right off the bat. But it's really important to consider, the geographical area in which studies were conducted, the population in terms of where you are as opposed to, on average, where other people are. Because I can't believe I have to say this, but not everyone's going to have the same life experiences as you, and so things are going to differ from place to place. It's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to really accurately generalize a large group of people or things or jobs. Because just by living life, life isn't that simple. It's not just a bunch of numbers and statistics. It doesn't break down to that so easily. Not everyone fits into little boxes. But I do feel like if you have the expertise, if you have the experience that proves something wrong or suggests that something is messed up, look into it and correct it, however way you can. At least get it out there that this is false information. Because if you have the credibility to do so, your opinion holds more weight, which it goes without saying. And I really feel that if people don't speak their mind about different things, then misinformation is just going to keep getting worse about everything. And especially with short-form content, it's making people even more susceptible to falling to these things, because someone on TikTok just said something, and then they immediately believe it. Probably not you if you're actually paying attention to a 4-minute video, but, it's 4 minutes at this point. It's probably about 10 by the time you're watching this. But yeah. I think as people and as a generation, we need to do better with this. Just be skeptical. Don't be pessimistic, but be skeptical in a healthy enough way. And that includes towards your own opinions. Be skeptical about your own views. Question why you think them. Where did you derive that information from? You need to question not only the other side that you don't agree with, but question your own views. Because what I've been seeing a lot lately is people just completely shutting out the other side, but also not reflecting on their own views. Pay attention to the other side's perspective. Don't just shut them out. Even if you think they're a horrible people for believing what they believe in, which in a lot of cases you shouldn't, but there's some cases where I feel like that's justified. But you should still pay attention to why other people are falling into this trap. First of all, you could prevent yourself from falling into that trap. You can have a better understanding and better way to combat the other side. But it also helps to look into yourself. Acknowledge if your arguments have flaws. Acknowledge if there's not sufficient information to support certain things. For someone to fully respect your opinion, you should be well-rounded in both sides. You should know what you're talking about. And ignoring the other side isn't going to do anything for that. And when you understand the other side, you can understand how people get roped in. And you'll have a much better time if you choose to debate with them, arguing their side, because you know what arguments they're going to bring up against you, and you're going to know the counter to that. You're going to know why those arguments seem enticing, but why they're wrong, in your opinion. I think we just need to do a better job at understanding, just in so many different aspects. So many people are walking around with opinions that they don't even know where they derive them from. They don't even know how to back those opinions with evidence. A lot of people just don't even acknowledge the burden of proof anymore. They're just like, look it up, which is really stupid, because if you don't know where your own opinion is coming from, that's a big issue. And I mean, if anyone's brainwashed, if you're going to call someone brainwashed and then you're not going to have any evidence to support your opinion, then that makes me feel like you're the one who's brainwashed in that case, because you can't even support your opinion with basic evidence. And I believe that, yes, the burden of proof is indeed on you if you're going to argue with someone. If you're saying something, it's your job to back that up with proof. It's not someone else's job to go and seek it out. I mean, if they're good at arguing, they most likely already know what you're talking about or have seen the research that you're bringing up. But the burden of proof is on you. If you're going to bring something up, it's your job to support that with facts, not someone else's job to look it up. What we need to encourage is not certain ideals or certain values. What we need to encourage is open and healthy discussion and not shutting down people who don't have the same opinion as you. Because when you're shutting people down, they're just going to be more convinced that they're right. And I feel like social media contributes a great deal to this too. Because if you're only seeing content that contributes to what you believe in, and just it basically just reinforces it. It's like cherry picking for you specific arguments and not showing you the other side a lot. Sure, occasionally something weird might pop up that you don't agree with, but then the majority of other people that agree with you are going to be in the comments most of the time. All social media is doing when you're watching the same sort of content is reinforcing your views without giving you a healthy perspective of both sides. And you might generate this false idea in your head, even subconsciously, that you're the majority and what you're thinking about is normal, which in some ways is good because you're more likely to be open about your views, because if they're absolutely radical, then people will know to not really engage with you on those sort of things. But all it does is reinforce your existing views, make you think you're more right, and lets you ignore everybody else. When you're on social media, a lot of the time, you'll see opinions, and it's just some random guy talking about something. And, I mean, granted, I am here, a random girl talking about what I think. But, like, when you're actually forming an opinion, please don't form your opinion off of just short-form content, especially. Honestly, if you're going to let social media form your opinion, at least let it be off of something grounded, like a video essay where they provide all of the evidence and stuff like that. But honestly, what I want you to take from this is just always acknowledge the other side and know where your opinion is coming from. I am going past 10 minutes, so I'm going to end this here. I hope you have an amazing day, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.